Welcome to the third session of the Therapy Burnout Course. Today, we will talk about what qualities should be developed in order to avoid it. We will discuss working with self-esteem, ways of emotional regulation, and setting personal boundaries. Let's start with self-assessment. Self-assessment helps you evaluate your professional qualities, skills, and abilities. It can be underestimated, adequate, or overestimated. Adequate self-esteem is optimal for life and work. In this case, you effectively complete tasks and are not afraid to try new types of activity as well as improve your professional competencies. You are less anxious, so emotional exhaustion occurs more slowly. This does not mean that you will never burn out, but the chances of this outcome are much lower. A person with low self-esteem cannot appreciate their work. That person is afraid to take on new tasks and is anxious about possible failures. Such self-esteem negatively affects labor efficiency and leads to rapid burnout. If you recognize yourself in this description, then try to follow 3 simple rules. First, do what you do best more often. Second, get a special notebook or document and write down all the praise you receive from friends and colleagues. Reread these notes during the moments of emotional decline. And last but not least, if something does not work out, do not scold, but rather support yourself. Employees with high self-esteem may seem to perform better. This may be true early in their career. Excessive self-confidence prevents them from noticing their mistakes and accepting constructive criticism. Over time, performance of such employees will decline. It is certainly unpleasant to admit that problems at work are related to high self-esteem, but realizing that you're making mistakes because of a lack of healthy self-criticism is the first step to making amends. The second step is to ask colleagues to review your work and listen to their feedback. Most likely, at first it will be difficult for you, but we believe that you will cope with this task. Now let's talk about the emotional regulation. Of course, we cannot stop or diminish emotions with a snap of our fingers. However, we can change the settings that caused them. This solution was proposed by a cognitive therapist, Albert Ellis. In the middle of the 20th century, he laid the foundations for rational emotive behavior therapy. The core of this theory is the ABC model. The letters describe the essence of the model. A is for activating experience. B is for our beliefs about the event. And C, consequences, are emotions that arise as a result of these beliefs. According to the ABC model, dysfunctional emotions are influenced by irrational beliefs. To get rid of such emotions, you need to learn to notice irrational beliefs, analyze, and subsequently get rid of them. To do this, get a notebook or make a note on your phone. Write down events, beliefs, and emotions following the ABC model. For example, a colleague doesn't want to do a project with you. This is your event. A, activating experience. Then, he doesn't like me, is your belief. B for belief. And then in turn, this belief causes an emotion. C, consequences. Well, in your case, it might be anger. How do you get rid of anger? Change the mental set that causes it. To do this, ask yourself the following questions. Is there evidence that I am disagreeable to this colleague? For what other reasons might he not want to work with me? Does he like to work in a team? After answering the questions, you may come to a different conclusion. For example, that colleague feels more comfortable working alone. Along with this revelation, anger will be replaced by calmness. Another important skill to have for preventing burnout is building personal boundaries at work. Breaking personal boundaries is very dangerous. Coworkers may smile and be nice, but at the same time assign tasks to you that do not directly relate to you. As a result, you stay late at work and get very tired. In such a situation, you cannot defend your boundaries. After all, everyone praises you, and a friendly atmosphere reigns in the office. So you keep working overtime and eventually end up burning out. How do you know if your boundaries are being violated? If you work late, sacrifice personal affairs and free time, complete tasks for colleagues, and do not have a clear idea of your responsibilities. You can add here invasion of privacy, requests to commit some immoral act, unwanted sexual attention, and inappropriate paternalism. If you come across at least two of the items from the list above, then your boundaries are being violated. To rebuild them, follow 3 steps. To begin with, realize what you want from work, how much time you're willing to devote to it, and what place it occupies in your life. Then learn to say no. If a boss or coworker asks you to complete an inappropriate task, refuse. Say no. Give reasons why you can't do it. In the 3rd step, start defending your borders. Explain to the offenders why they should not treat you that way. Gather colleagues and discuss the issue of personal boundaries. Point out what can be done and what you consider unacceptable. So, we found out that self-esteem, the ability to manage emotions and build personal boundaries, affect burnout. Having adequate self-esteem is what allows you to effectively complete current tasks and not be afraid to take on new ones. Consequently, people with adequate self-esteem are less likely to burn out at work. Low self-esteem does not allow you to appreciate your work, and high self-esteem prevents you from noticing mistakes and accepting constructive criticism. In both cases, the chance of developing burnout increases. To increase your self-esteem, write down the praise you receive and try to support yourself when you fail. To lower your self-esteem, ask colleagues to rate your work and listen to their opinions. We cannot stop emotions with a snap of our fingers, but we can get rid of the dysfunctional attitudes that cause them. To do this, you need to learn to notice irrational beliefs, analyze, and subsequently get rid of them. Breaking personal boundaries leads to burnout. If you work late, sacrifice personal affairs and free time, complete tasks for colleagues, and do not have a clear idea of your responsibilities, your personal boundaries are likely to be violated. But you can rebuild them. To do this, understand what you want from your job and learn to say no to your colleagues and the boss. But how can you do this? After all, sometimes it seems impossible to say no. First, you need to understand the reason why you cannot refuse people. Only then can you learn to build personal boundaries. To figure out why and in what situations you're afraid to say no, do the exercise for this session. It will also help you find alternative solutions to situations. As a result, you will not just refuse colleagues and bosses, you will offer new and more effective ways to problem solving.